Ahoy!
Welcome to another episode of Bottom of the Stream. My name is Adam.
I am Nick, and you join us on our stream boat as we are on our endless mission to find hidden gems at the bottom of Netflix.
Yeah, and we do all right with it, don't we? I mean, we didn't last week.
Yeah, let's not focus on last week's movie.
It was hidden, but I wouldn't call it a gem.
No, it can remain hidden. I mean, go back and listen if you've not to our episodes last week on a movie called Aerials, which I enjoyed talking about far much more than I enjoyed watching.
Definitely. I listened to the episode back, actually, and I really enjoyed listening to it again. But yeah, that's not a good film, that one. How are you, anyway?
Yeah, that was one for the books, that was. Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Good week?
I mean, it's all right. I haven't really got anything exciting to tell you. Just mostly being working, being at home, teaching children, my own children, not just randomly.
You've got a new job.
Dispensing advice,
taking them all on.
Yeah. But you know, we managed to squeeze in a movie as well for this show, so yeah, it's all right. How about you?
Yeah, not bad at all, really. Considering all things considered, the way the world is, we've got a new president in America. That's good news.
Yes, I've got some news related to that.
Oh, good.
In our news section, I'll go in current affairs. A bit, I would say roving reporter, but we're not allowed to rove.
That's true. There's no roving going on, just lots of reporting.
Yeah.
Do you want to get straight into the news section then?
Yeah, sure.
There's no point holding it up, is there? Right. Have you got any Netflix news?
I have, yeah.
Cool. What is it?
I've got two prison-based newses.
Nice.
Going on a theme. So Netflix star Joe Exotic.
Oh yes,
I saw this. Is still in prison.
Yes, he is. He's not going anywhere for quite some time now, by the looks of it.
So I don't know if you saw this, but obviously the piss-eyed tango monster who's just left office gave a load of pardons on his last day before he left the White House, and Joe Exotic was not among them, even though he had vociferously campaigned, I think you would say.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you saw this in the news, but there was like a ridiculous stretch limo parked outside his lawyer's offices for like 24 hours, ready to go and collect him. Allegedly, there was like a hairstylist in the back, and the plan was to sort of, if he'd have got pardoned, shuffle him out of prison. They'd have pimped him up in the back of the limo, and then took him straight to a press conference.
That's madness. Imagine
but that didn't happen.
Half of me really wishes it had have, just to have seen that. What happened next with Joe Exotic? It's just. I mean, the man deserves to be in prison, and he is in there for a reason. But
well, I mean, he released a statement the following day saying the reason he's not been pardoned, he's disappointed he's not been pardoned, and in fact he's too innocent. That's why he wasn't pardoned. He was too innocent of all those things that we actually saw in that documentary, i.e. animal cruelty and plotting to kill a woman.
Too innocent. That's a great phrase.
It's all on tape, mate, you know.
Yeah, it did make me laugh. Apparently, the rumours were going around on the day that Netflix had funded it all, but I don't know how true that was.
I'm not sure about that one.
I think something is in the works with Netflix as like a follow-up to Tiger King, because every time something happens with any of those characters, it ends up in the news. And it just makes me wonder if Netflix are not leaking stuff to the news to make a follow-up. Because what's it, lost all his tigers the same day, didn't he? Jeff Lowe.
Oh, Jeff Lowe.
He had to give them all up to the government on the same day that Joe Exotic would have got out of prison. That seemed a bit too coincidental.
Do you think there's already a sort of undercover Netflix crew following all these guys around?
It wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't surprise me at all. All these films that are being made need an ending. You can't just have your main character go to prison at the end.
None of them are on Netflix though, are they?
No.
So you got to think they're going to want more of that pie.
Definitely. Netflix will want more out of Tiger King. 100%. Yeah. So it's interesting to see if they... Long term, I think we'll find out, but it's interesting to see if they're behind any of this.
Good conspiracy theory, dude.
Thanks, man. What's your other bit of prison gossip?
So this has kind of bypassed me over the last week or so, but I really like this show, and the new series of World's Toughest Prisons has dropped on Netflix.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Which is presented by Raphael Rowe, who's a really great presenter. He's an ex-con himself. He was wrongly imprisoned, British guy. And yeah, there's 4 or 5 new episodes that have dropped. Not watched any of them yet, but if they're as good as sort of the previous ones, then I would highly recommend it.
Excellent. I've never checked any of them out. I will definitely do that.
So I think there's about, before this one, I think there's 4 seasons.
Right.
But the first season it was on Channel 5 and he didn't present it.
Okay.
It was someone else and he's nowhere near as good. Because I can't remember the guy's name. He's an Irish guy, but I think he was a journalist as opposed to an ex-con.
Right.
And you just don't buy it. We only watched like one of them, but the ones that Raphael Rowe presents, quite he meets some characters.
I do like that sort of
to
thing.
say the least. When he's sitting sort of surrounded by shit and gangsters in like Honduras or something, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, it must be a scary job. That's not an easy job to do that.
Cool. Yeah, I can't remember which. What? You went surprised?
Did I?
Or did you say, it sounded like you said. It sounded like you said ooh, but I think you might have said cool.
I just said cool. Yeah, I did. Sorry.
I thought you'd gone a bit like
ooh.
John. Yeah,
John Inman. John Inman on
you. Yeah, that's my prison news.
Good prison news. Shall I do a bit of news?
Yeah, go on.
Well, it's not really news. Well, it is. It's not really news. It's an article that I've read this week.
Okay.
You know, I don't know how you pronounce this guy's name. David Benioff and
yes.
D.B. Weiss, who are the writers of Game of Thrones.
Sure.
Just after Game of Thrones, they got signed by Netflix. You remember?
They did, yeah. Yep.
Well, Netflix have now released... Well, Netflix haven't released any details, but there's details emerging of the projects that they're currently working on.
Okay.
And according to this article I've read, there's 4 currently in progress, all at the same time. There's only one that's been officially announced by Netflix, which is a TV show called The Chair, which, funnily enough, is going to star Sandra Oh, who is a Netflix Bottom of the Stream alum. And also Jay Duplass, who is Mark Duplass's brother.
Yeah.
It's it centres around the chair of an English department at a major English university. And it's a TV show. Amanda Peet and Anna Julia Wyman are also writing it and producing it, and Bernie Caulfield is attached as a producer. That's the only one that's officially been announced. They're also working on a film which is called Metal Lords, which is due to begin filming early this year, so it's not even been filmed yet. And that's a teen comedy music drama coming of age story of 2 boys.
Oh, as in heavy metal.
Yeah.
I was picturing like a like Blown Away, that reality show.
No,
I was expecting like a blacksmith type.
Metal Lords is a great name.
You are the weakest blacksmith. Get out.
That's a great name for a blacksmithing reality show, Metal Lords.
Right, no one steal that idea. I'm getting on it.
Copyright. What's the date? 21st of January. It's a teen comedy music drama coming of age story of 2 boys who are obsessed with heavy metal and their mission to beat the popular kids in the school's band competition.
Cool.
So they're attached as the writers of that. There's also another TV series coming with those 2 attached, which is called The Three Body Problem.
Okay.
Which is based on a novel by a Chinese author called Liu Cixin. I highly doubt that's how you pronounce his name. And Alexander Wu is joining the writing team as well. With Brad Pitt and Ryan Johnson as executive producers.
Oh, excellent.
The official logline for this series is the story of humanity's first contact with an alien civilization set against the backdrop of China's Cultural Revolution. A secret military project sends signals into space to establish contact with aliens. An alien civilization on the brink of destruction captures the signal and plans to invade Earth. Meanwhile, on Earth, different camps start forming, planning to either welcome the superior beings and help them to take over a world seen as corrupt, or to fight against the invasion. The result is a science fiction masterpiece of enormous scope and vision. The word masterpiece is used there. And they've not even started writing it yet. So
that's an
ego, isn't it?
Yeah.
And finally, there's no information on this, but they've also got we don't even know if this is a TV series or a film, but it's called The Overstory. And it's based on a novel by Richard Powers with the novel's got the same name. And that is also in the works at Netflix, but apparently it's Netflix co-CEO's Reed Hastings' favourite novel.
All right, okay.
So he's going to want to put some money behind that.
Just just knock all that out and they'll be fine.
Yeah, I saw that earlier. I thought it was quite interesting that those two had got quite a lot of work on at the minute.
It is interesting because if memory serves me correctly, they turned down they had a couple of deals on the table. One being a deal from Netflix, and the other being go and make your own Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah, didn't that get taken away from them?
Oh, did it? I can't remember which way around.
After the disaster of the last season of Game of Thrones, I think they lost that.
They basically admitted, didn't they, that they'd
fudged Game of Thrones to write this Star Wars trilogy.
They got so far with Game of Thrones and then just can't really be asked with putting our all into this.
I saw that article on Reddit earlier today, and the very first comment underneath was, "Nope, the North remembers." And I just thought that's really, really good. They've got a lot of work to do to win back any sort of fans. Those two, but it'd be interesting to see what they can come up with.
Cool.
I've got a couple of release dates newses. Do you want those?
Okay. Yeah.
Snowpiercer's coming back.
Awesome.
Very, very soon. What date does this episode come out on? 25th?
Yes.
It's coming tomorrow. It's coming on the 26th, first episode. And then we'll air weekly, the same as it did last year. All the way through until March the 30th.
Excellent.
So that's come in. And also, Bridgerton has just been renewed for a season 2.
I did see that.
That's been announced today. But there's no release date for that as of yet.
Yeah, just don't watch that one with your grandma.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, I won't.
There's one episode, I think it's 5 or 6, and it is just wall to wall.
Go on.
As you would say, doing the naughty.
Oh, really? Sexy times.
Yeah.
I've noticed it's been in and around the top 10. Well, the top 2 or 3 since it came out.
Well, I have a bit of news.
Okay, that followed in quite nicely.
On a bit of a link to that, because Netflix have said that their new release, the French detective show Lupin, is projected to have more views in its first month than Bridgerton.
Really? That's surprising.
And The Queen's Gambit.
And The Queen's Gambit?
Yep.
Wow.
They are claiming it is a super smash.
That's craziness.
I've
added that to my list, actually. It looks great. I've added it to my list. I'm
so have I.
Going to get there at some point. I did about 3 or 4 foreign TV shows, actually. There's a couple that have come out recently that look quite interesting. I cannot remember what any of the others are called. But yeah, I've added like 3 or 4 foreign TV shows, so definitely going to get a bit more multicultural in 2021, I think. Like it. Talking of...
bit of a theme for this episode.
Are you done with news?
Yes.
Cool. Have you watched anything good at the top of the stream?
I've only watched a couple of things, really, because I've still been watching Psych, which I mentioned last week.
Oh, yeah.
So, I've also finally started the most recent season on Netflix. Yes, I think it is the most recent season of Better Call Saul. So
right, okay.
I'm now only I'm nearly up to date. Well, I will be at the end of this season. So,
that's a really good season, that is. I really enjoyed that season of that show.
Yeah, so I've been watching that. And then the other thing for me, last weekend, I watched the first 2 episodes on Disney Plus of WandaVision.
Oh, I watched that as well.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I watched it
I didn't know you'd watched it.
Yeah. What do you think?
Right, so I thought it was great.
Yeah.
I loved how they are just all in on this sitcom gimmick.
Yeah, 100%.
I think it will be even better once you've got the whole thing.
When you know what's going on.
I just feel... Yeah, and it's weird, isn't it? And I know we've been talking about this in the Discord this week.
Yeah.
The whole sort of binging versus weekly release. And I just don't think it's fair that this has had not the best reviews because people are like, well, it's inaccessible, it's difficult to follow, I don't know what's going on. I think that's just because people are too used to being able to watch the whole thing in 2 days.
I completely agree. It's been written for binging, but has not been released as a bingeable show. And that is going to get it negative reviews, I think, unfortunately.
I have high hopes it is all going to tie together. And,
yeah, I'm sure it will.
You know, essentially from the without getting too spoilery, the few hints we've got is that you've got a sort of horror mystery underlying the whole thing, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely.
And that's as much detail as I'll go into, because I know people wouldn't have necessarily had the chance to watch it. But yeah, I'm definitely intrigued.
I got to the end of the first episode and I was like, well, that was awesome. What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
That's the only way I can describe it. It was like, that was fucking brilliant. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it was brilliant.
And I didn't know if I'd feel that because I am too young and not American enough to have ever watched the Dick Van Dyke Show.
Yeah.
Which is, what the first episode is an homage to.
Yeah.
The second episode is an homage to Bewitched, which I can remember watching on occasionally when I was very young, but not really in detail. So especially when they get into sort of 80s and 90s, I'm really interested to see what they do.
Yeah, it's an interesting theme they've got going on. I'm intrigued. When does the next one come out?
I think it's Fridays.
Is it? Cool.
So yeah.
Yeah, if you've got Disney Plus, check out WandaVision.
Yeah.
Because you're starved of Marvel content. It's been nearly 2 years since a Marvel film came out.
I know, but yeah.
It's crazy times. Absolutely. When at one point they were coming out every 3 days, it felt like. And now they're coming out every 2 years. It's just madness. I was reading today, apparently Black Widow is going to get delayed again.
Yeah.
They did not want to put that on Disney Plus. They want that as a... I think they want it to entice people back into cinemas, personally, but...
I mean, I don't think that's seeing the light of day before... I think you're talking late summer.
Yeah,
if you're lucky.
Agreed.
If not more sort of autumn.
Yeah, I would maybe even go winter. Cool. Anything else you've been watching? Was that it?
That's me for watches. How about you?
I've watched the first 2 episodes of Night Stalker.
Oh, yeah.
Which is Netflix's latest true crime documentary series. I've only seen 2 episodes, so I can't really comment on how good it is yet. But they do not hold back on showing you the crime scene photos. I will tell you that much. There is some gruesome shit in that episode, that show. It's a mad story. I've obviously, being from this country, I've never heard of it before, but to have a serial killer who has no motive and no kind of... He'll just go after anybody. It's seemingly at random. It's the policeman who they're interviewing. I was like, we had no clue what was going on. He did 3 people in 3 days, and there were no connections. They were not the same age. They're not the same type of person. He raped a couple and he didn't rape one. He robbed one and didn't rape the other one. He had no MO at all. It was just seemingly at random. And the only thing that ties all the crime scenes together is his shoe print.
Okay.
But other than that, they wouldn't have even thought it was the same person.
Wow.
So I'm intrigued to see where it's going, but I've only seen the first 2 episodes. So
yeah, I've seen the trailer. It keeps popping up. I would like to get to that.
It's gruesome though. They do not hold back on showing you those crime scene photos.
Sure.
They literally put a little bit of tape over the person's eyes, and then you just see everything else.
Okay.
I don't know how many of those. I think there's 5 or 6.
Cool.
I'll have that finished by next week, so I'll let you know what I thought in next week's episode. So that's all I've been watching because I finished season 1 of Dexter.
Oh,
I got to the end of the first season. So
did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was really good. I remembered a lot of the first season. Yeah, it was really, really good. The guy who plays the ice truck killer is so good in it.
Yeah.
It's a shame he could never come back. Spoiler alert.
Yeah, I think you're fine with that one.
Spoiler alert for a 16-year-old TV show. But yeah, I'm going to move straight on to season 2, I think. I also started watching a sitcom on Sky called Breeders. I don't know if you've heard of it.
Okay.
Funnily enough, it's Daisy Haggard again. Which was
really?
what made me watch it, because I'm like, well, I've seen all of her other sitcoms in the last few weeks. I might as well start this one.
Yeah.
It's not great. It's all right. I've seen 3 episodes. It's her and Martin Freeman. And they play parents of 2 children, and it's basically just their lives of how they hate being parents and how annoying kids are. But it's all right. I probably will watch the rest of it just because it's easy to just watch when you want to put a half-an-hour show on. But
you're halfway through it now. You may as well.
Yeah. It's nothing on Uncle or on Back to Life. We'll see. See if I stick with it.
Good.
Cool. That's it. That's all my watches and all my news.
Excellent. So, I mean, we could talk about this movie, but we've not played a game for a couple of weeks.
That is true. We have not played a game for a while. Bottom of the Burrito, I think, was the last game, wasn't it? I don't think we've done one this year.
Yes, it probably was. Your Christmas one.
Yeah.
Your Christmas episode, as in you, the listener, not you.
Well, technically, it was my Christmas episode as well.
You can change that. Yes, I have prepared a game.
Excellent.
So, obviously, this week we are watching a movie called A Silent Voice.
Yep.
Which is a Japanese anime film. So, I have prepared a game in which I will give you 5 movie titles, and you just have to tell me, are they anime or shamame?
Shamame. Okay, I like
Shamame. I'm slightly leading you astray there because they are all real movies.
Okay.
but they are not all anime movies.
Oh, wow. This is going to be tough.
Let's see how you do.
I've only ever watched 2 anime movies, and they've both been on this show now. So
yeah, well, they're not on this list, so...
Oh, God. Yeah, it's not my area of expertise, anime. I'll get into that more in the episode, I guess.
Well, you might learn something then, so...
Hopefully.
Are you ready?
Yes, more than ready.
Okay, the first one. Anime or shamanai? I want to eat your pancreas.
There's a movie out... You're telling me there's a movie out there called I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, and it may or may not be anime?
Correct. That is the game.
I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, though I don't think that's an anime. I think it sounds like a B-movie horror movie. So I'm going Shamame.
It's anime.
Is it really? Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds like a cheap B-movie.
Would you like the synopsis?
Of course I would.
I Want to Eat Your Pancreas is an incredibly moving, well-made film about a reclusive boy who becomes close to his popular classmate after learning she has a terminal pancreatic disease.
Oh my goodness. Wow. That is not what I was expecting at all. So he wants to eat it to cure her from that?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Isn't Japan weird? I think I can say that because it is a truth. It's not. That's not racist. It's just true.
Right, you ready for the next one?
More than ready.
Cat shit 1.
Cat shit 1?
Yeah. I think the noise suppression is cancelling your laughter.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's fine.
I'm laughing. Cat shit 1. I know there's a lot of anime that put a 1 at the end of their stuff and numbers at the end, so I'm going to go anime.
Correct.
Because that indicates that there's more than one cat shit film.
It is a gritty tale about an Iranian hostage crisis, except the SWAT team are all anthropomorphic bunnies.
Japan's weird, isn't it? Okay. I'll accept
I'm up
that.
for watching that one, to be honest.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, you're doing all right. So 1-1. Right, okay, next one.
Yeah.
The end of the world in our usual bed in a night full of rain.
That's definitely an anime.
It's Shamame.
It's Shamame?
Yeah.
What is it then?
That's an Italian movie. Again, it's Julie Christie. It's a romance.
Really? What's it called again?
The end of the world in our usual bed in a night full of rain.
Wow, that's dark, man.
I'm not going to try and read the Italian.
Okay.
But yeah, that's a translation of the title.
Okay, cool.
I can't remember how many I've done now. Is that
3? That's 3. It's 2-1 to
2 left.
Not me. I'm losing.
Okay, so number 4. Those magnificent men in their flying machines, or How I Flew from London to Paris in 25 hours, 11 minutes.
Something tells me I've heard of that. That when you said that rang a bell. Oh, that's interesting, because if that's ringing a bell, then it's probably not anime. Because I don't know anime. Shamame.
Correct.
What is it?
It is just known. Usually, it is just known as The Magnificent Men in Their Flying Machines. It's a 1960s British film,
right?
And I'm pretty sure you will have seen it on like Channel 4 on a Saturday.
It
or
rings
Sunday.
a bell with me, definitely.
But its official title is a lot longer, which I didn't know. So I can remember seeing that film when I'm.
It did ring. As soon as you said it, it rang a bell. So cool. So it's a draw. So this is the decider.
Yeah.
Go
on. Good luck.
Thanks.
I've been trying to practice this one.
Oh, okay.
So
good luck.
The final one.
Yeah.
Right, you ready?
Yes.
Bo. Bobo.
Bobo.
Yeah.
That's got to be an anime.
I think you left a bow out.
Did I? Bobo.
Bobo.
Sound like fucking Teletubbies. Bobo. Anime.
Correct.
Yes.
Well done.
Thank you. What's that one about?
It is an anime where the protagonist fights evildoers with his nose hair to protect the innocence of the world from having their own hair and therefore their power stolen from them.
Obviously, of course it is. Why wouldn't it be?
I don't know how you didn't guess that, to be honest.
That's mad.
Wow. I will put a picture of Bobo in the Discord.
Well, maybe we'll get all 5 movie posters and see if we can put them on Instagram or something, or Discord or something.
Well done.
Thank you. I'm quite proud of myself. Movies are weird. Movie titles are weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, bizarre. Shall we move on?
Let's do that.
Shall we talk about this week's film?
Yes, please.
Okay, this week, Ross Cook played his wild card. Every season, every member of our Patreon team and both me and Nick get a wild card. Basically, that means that you can bypass the randomizer and pick a film that we're going to watch for the week. And Ross Cook, our famous Patreon and artwork collaborator, chose A Silent Voice, which, as Nick's just mentioned, is a Japanese anime film. It is from 2016. It is a 12A. Runs for 2 hours and 10 minutes. And it's currently rated at 8.1 on IMDb, which is tied as the highest rated film we've done on this show so far. Any idea?
Interesting.
Any ideas what it's tied with?
I will take a punt at The Dawn Wall.
Correct. 2 hours and 10. Do you think we've done a film that long before? I was thinking about this.
I remember Animal World was...
I can't remember the longest film we've done. I should have looked it up, but I think this is one of the longest films. It's definitely one of the longest films we've done.
Yeah, it is. It is, yeah.
Also, interestingly, this is number 246 on IMDb's top-rated movies list.
Well, whatever.
Yep.
Okay.
Which indicates to me that it may not be bottom of the stream. But as we said at the very first episode of the show, the only real rule is that me and you have not heard of it.
Correct.
So, and I certainly hadn't heard of it. Had you heard of it?
I certainly had not, no.
Okay. So that's mainly probably because neither of us are really into anime. That's the rules. Them's the rules, I guess.
I mean, I think if you're an anime fan, you're probably aware of it.
Yeah.
But if not, you're not.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
It's as simple as and it isn't traditional anime because it's not sci-fi, and I think a lot of anime films are sci-fi films. I'm going to sound like a real nugget during this episode because I don't know what I'm talking about, and I'll put it out there now. But I think most anime that I'm certainly aware of is sci-fi, and this isn't, even slightly.
So I'm still laughing at Nugget. I've not heard that for years.
Sorry. I don't know where that came from either.
That's fine.
I'm going to run through the cast. This is also the first animated film we've done. I mean, Gantzo was, but was mainly CGI. This isn't. This is a proper animated film, and I think this is the first animated film we've done.
Traditional animation, yes. Yeah, I would say so.
Agreed. So obviously it's going to be quite difficult to do the cast list because obviously there's a Japanese version of this and there's an English version of this. The English dub, incidentally, is really good. I was very impressed with the English dub. So I'll read you the Japanese actors' names out, but
sure,
we've not heard their voices or seen them or anything, so they are definitely.
Well, I did a little bit because I switched a little bit between.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but mostly I accidentally, and then carried on for the rest of it. I had both the English dub and the subtitles on.
Oh, okay.
So I went a bit meta because I kind of hadn't occurred to me that you could do that, and
what made
it is fair to say. What made me do it?
What made you not watch it in? Because you usually watch it in the native language. What made you not?
So basically, because I didn't know if I would get 2 hours straight at watching this movie, I split it into a couple of sections. So when I started watching it, I was kind of also trying to finish something else off. So I went with the English dub.
Fair enough.
And then I switched back to Japanese a bit later on. And then I never really turned the subtitles off.
Fair enough. So why not?
I had English and subtitles on at the start, and they didn't really match.
Yeah, when Ross sent me the message to play his wildcard, he did warn me that the Japanese dub and the English dub is not the same thing. Apparently, even some of the character names are different.
Well, no. What's happened is that in the subtitles, mostly the characters seem to be referred to by their surname,
okay.
But in the dub, they are referred to by their Christian name. And and that's
where the confusion. So I guess we were lucky then that we both watched the English dub, because if we'd have had different names for all the characters, which are confusing enough as it is, which we'll come to, that would have been a lot more confusing for an episode.
Sure.
Anyway, so the main character in this show is called Shoya. I've got 4 actors who played Shoya, so just bear with me a second. Japanese child actor Mayu Matsuka played him as a child. As an adult, it was Mayu Irono. I'm going to butcher all of these names. I apologise, I always do. And then in the English dub, the child was called Ryan Shanahan, and the adult was called Robbie Damond.
It's funny that you're better at reading the Japanese names than the English names. So.
I've written them quite small on my page, so apologies if I've butchered any of that. The second character in the film, main character in the film, is called Shoko. In Japan, she was played by Sayori Hayami. And in the English version was played by a lady called Lexi Cowden, who Shoko is a deaf character, and Lexi Cowden is also deaf.
Oh, cool.
So she was played by a deaf lady. In the English dub, the Japanese lady isn't. They're the main 2 characters. They're the only 2 I really want. Because there were so many different names, I only went with those 2.
That's fine.
This is a story about those 2 people, so I thought that's what I'd do. Directed by Naoko Yamada and written by Raiko Yoshida, who wrote the screenplay. It's based on Yoshiki Ayami's manga, which is called Ko no Katachi.
Well done.
Thank you. I didn't want to do that. I texted you last night. I was like, I don't want to do it. And you were like, let's just do it. So we did. Where does this film start, Nick?
A fish pond.
Correct. It does indeed.
There's a lonely man. That's what I've put. Yeah. A lonely man quits his job.
Yeah.
He sells all his stuff.
Yeah.
He leaves money to a girl.
Correct.
I don't know who any of these people are at this stage.
No, none of us
in
do.
a little envelope.
Yeah.
And then he goes to commit suicide.
Yeah.
And
starts off the way it means to go on this film.
He goes to a bridge and he nearly jumps off it.
Yeah. But he doesn't.
That's your opening.
He doesn't jump off it. He sees some kids playing underneath the bridge, and it kind of talks himself out of it, I guess.
Yeah. Gives him some memories, doesn't it?
Yeah,
of his own
kind of
childhood.
Gives him a bit of a flashback. Did you notice the title card for the film when that came up?
Yes, this is called something different.
Yeah, it's not called A Silent Voice on its title card. It's called...
So it's the card both at the start and the end of this movie titles it as The Shape of Voice.
Yeah. Which,
I think I prefer that.
Yeah, me too, I think. I didn't really understand why it was called A Silent Voice, if I'm honest. A Shape of Voice it doesn't make any sense, but it's quite a fun title, I guess. We come out of the title card and The Who start playing.
Yeah.
Which took me by surprise a little bit.
Really took me aback because I wasn't expecting such a familiar tune to start playing.
Yeah, My Generation was playing. Pete Townsend, incidentally, is also deaf in one ear.
Oh yeah,
so maybe that's why. And that plays over the credits, which play at the beginning of the film. And the credits is basically a montage of 3 young boys all getting into trouble and just being lads and playing about.
Yeah.
And then we meet Shoya. He's the main guy in this film. And he is in school and he's sitting in his class. He looks very bored. And his teacher, who also looks very bored all the way through the film, introduces the fact that there's a new girl who's joining their class. And this girl is called Shoko. And she introduces herself, but she introduces herself by notebook. She writes down all the introduction because the kids in the class find out at this point that their new classmate is deaf.
Right. I'm holding my hands up here.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I was trying to get a bit of a head start and I wasn't quite into this for the first few minutes. It wasn't until they went to music class in about 10 minutes that I twigged she was deaf.
Really? Did you?
Yeah.
It definitely said at this point that she was deaf.
That one's on me.
That's definitely on you. But the kids start giggling and laughing at this straight away. They're not used to it. It's something new to them. They're only, I don't know how old they were supposed to be, but they were young.
It kept saying 6th grade, and that doesn't really mean anything to me.
No, not me. I would guess 12-ish, 13, that sort of time.
Yeah, I think around 13 because they're about 18 later on, aren't they?
Yeah.
So.
Somebody in the class points out that, Shoko introduced herself and says she likes to be called Sho. Shoya, who we've already met, also likes to be called Sho. And somebody in the class points out that they've got the same name. And at this point I've written, they've got the same name? Really? As if this was like not a confusing enough film as it is.
I mean, it's not great for note takers.
It's really not. So if we stumble upon it at any point, I apologise. But the two main characters in this film have the same name.
But
yeah,
I liked it.
It worked.
Because obviously it is a bit obvious, but it is, sort of saying that these very different people maybe aren't as different as they first assume. It did make it difficult to write notes, though.
It did. It was definitely not written for somebody who was going to do a podcast on it 4 years later, for 5 years later, for definite. Let me just kind of get them hanging out at the school. There's a section where the kids are reading like a paragraph each out loud, and the teacher even makes Shoko. I'm so going to fuck up this so much. Shoko. The teacher even makes Shoko do it, even though she's deaf. And Shoya is mocking her from behind, but obviously she can't hear that.
Yeah.
And everybody in the class is pretty mean.
I mean, this was a tough. The first half hour of this movie was tough.
It really was.
Because they are horrible to this new girl.
Yeah.
And
she just wants to be friends. She just wants to make friends. And
she's really sweet. And everyone unreservedly is horrid to her.
They're a bunch of cons.
Yeah. and it really threw me because I'm like, nothing's built up for this. That they are just horrible people. Yeah, it was tough.
It was. There's nothing worse than bullying. I hate bullying. And the first half an hour of this film is just a bullying montage. It's horrible. It's really horrible. Because there's the next scene is Shoya's hanging around with his lads in the playground. She appears to have a bit of a thing for him early on, because she kind of migrates towards him quite often, and a little bit, she just wants to be friends. She just wants to make friends with somebody. But he's horrible. He calls her a freak. He throws some stones at her. He chucks a load of dirt in her face at one point.
Yeah, they write shit on the blackboard, don't they?
But
then he's horrible as well, because then when she turns up, he's like, "Oh, I'm just rubbing this off."
Yeah, who wrote that?
I don't know who did it, and it's just like,
he literally
this
just
guy
finished
is
doing it.
Oh, absolute weasel.
He really is. The teacher announces the next day that they're going to spend some time learning to sign in the class, learning sign language. However, she says we're going to spend 3 minutes a day learning sign language. So even the teachers are not that fussed. They're just doing it because they have to, I guess. And
then we get loads and loads more bullying, don't we?
Yeah, loads of it.
And then it sort of culminates in, everyone in front of the class, and the teacher's like, "We hear there's been some bullying."
Yeah.
I'm like, you are bad teachers.
The teacher at the front of the class, the male teacher that they've got, he never takes his head up from his book that he's reading.
Yeah.
And he just is not interested in teaching that class or teaching those kids anything. I've written here, even the teacher's a douche. And it gets to the stage where one of the girls steals her hearing aids from her ears.
Yes.
And she's
really nasty.
Yeah. And she's like, "Oh, you can hear like this." She's mocking her. And she throws them to Shoya, and Shoya actually throws them out the window.
Yeah.
And then a bit later on, he goes to do the same thing again, but as he pulls them out, he makes her bleed.
Yeah.
Because they're obviously these ones that are attached to her head, I guess. And for that, he gets sent to the office because some of the kids are like, "You've gone too far. What the fuck?" But then she apologises to him when they meet up later on.
Because she thinks she doesn't know what she's done wrong.
Yeah.
She thinks she's at fault somehow.
Yeah, she thinks she's feeling guilty because he got sent to the office. So she apologises to him. And he ends up throwing... This notebook is her lifeline. She can only communicate via this notebook. And he ends up throwing it in the pond. And she goes after it, and she goes into the pond to get it. And then, I don't know if I missed something here, because the next bit, he was in the pond.
Yeah.
I didn't understand what happened there.
So what happened was, I think it was just... the timeline just went a bit funky. So she was pushed in the pond, but then we flipped to his viewpoint and he was in the pond. And then it flipped back to the scene in the classroom where basically the teacher was like, "Right, who's bullying this girl? Who's bullying Shoko?"
Yeah.
And all his classmates turned on him.
Yeah. So was
that's
supposed to be after this where they'd all turned on him then?
Yeah, I think so.
That makes more sense. I just didn't get what I was...
So then So then we saw this scene where basically they all shopped him to save themselves.
Yeah.
And then we went back to the pond and he was in it. Yeah. So it was just a bit of a funky structure.
Yeah, it was. She stopped coming to school at that point. She hadn't been to school because her parents think that she's being bullied. This is what the teachers are saying because they've lost 8.
Well, they said.
Go on.
Yes. No, that's exactly what I was going to say.
She's lost 8 pairs of hearing aids in the last 5 months. So some time's passed as well. And the teacher, because it's the headmaster that's in the class talking like this. And the teacher's like, stand up, show you. It's obviously you. We know it's you. So the teacher calls him out to start with, and then all of his mates sell him out as well.
Yeah.
And he tries to defend himself. He tries to say, look, it is me, but it isn't just me. Yeah, you're all as guilty as I am. But they're all...
They all close ranks.
They literally turn on him. So he storms off. And when he gets home, his mum's on the phone, because the school have obviously rang her to tell her. He gets home, he's wet because he's been in this pond. His mum's like, right, come on, we're going to Shoko's house. Are you going to apologise to her? And then nothing really comes of that. They do go. His mum kind of backs out a little bit, do you think? She doesn't follow through with it.
Unless it was something that was missed in the dub, but it didn't come across like she punished him or came down on him for what he did. She
just tells him to be a nicer person from now on.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. The next day he finds Shoya in a classroom and she's cleaning his desk. She's like, I don't understand why, but she was. And he freaks out and they end up having virtually a fist fight.
He is horrible to her. So I believe what's happened is someone has graffitied on Shoya's desk, basically saying this guy's a bully.
Yeah.
And she's trying to clean it off.
Right, okay.
Even after everything he's done to her. And he's just like, get away from my desk, what are you doing? And they actually get in a fight. Yeah, he is just a fucking piece of work, this guy. She
actually bites him at this point.
Yeah.
To get him off. And then the next day after that, it's announced that she's gone. She's moved to another school. She can't handle it anymore.
Yep.
And that's where we kind of leave the kids. Because at that point, we cut to an older version of Shoya, who is now probably, 18, 19?
Yep. And this is the sad man that we saw at the start of the movie.
Not a lot. All they've done is made the character model bigger.
He's just got a bit lankier.
He's just got a bit lankier. They've not changed the face model much, but they have changed the voice actor. So, and he bumps into her. Or he finds her. I've written he bumped into her, but it turns out that he's actually tracked her down.
Yeah, he's at a sign language
school
class or a school. Yeah,
because he's obviously feeling guilty, and he's gone to track her down.
He's got this notebook.
Yeah, he's got this old notebook from the day when he fished it out of the pond, and he's gone to give it back to her. He basically says, "Look, can we be friends?" And she walks away from him. At this point, anyway.
And I've written here, and I don't think I liked this bit because I don't think it was good for his character, because there's a scene where he literally, a light bulb goes on and he's only now realising, oh, all she was looking for 5 years ago was a friend.
Yeah.
And he realises it then in that moment, and I was like, I see you're stupid as well as it's horrible.
All the way through this film, he cannot understand her voice. He cannot understand, even to the point where they do become friends. He can't understand what she's saying to him, which isn't easy, but that's kind of a theme all the way through. So he kind of misinterprets what she says a lot, and that sort of thing.
Is that because he's not willing to listen?
Possibly.
Is that
possibly?
Is it
it definitely was when he was a kid.
Meaning here.
I think as an adult, maybe. When he gets home that day, his mum's found his suicide note.
Oh, yes.
So she, as any good mother would, loses her shit and starts screaming at him. And she's got all the money that he has saved up to pay her back what he owes her, which he left on her pillow at the beginning. And she's like, look, I don't want your fucking money. I'll burn it here and now. Just promise me you won't kill yourself. And as soon as he sees the money about to go up in flames, he freaks out. He's like, no, I promise I'm not going to do it. I've changed my mind. I'm not going to do it. And then his stupid mum accidentally burns the money anyway.
I think it was quite a lot. It was like 1.7 million yen.
Yeah, I think that's what it said.
Shall I do a... I don't know how much that
is. Do a
is.
Google calculation.
In English pounds.
I could ask Alexa.
Wow, I'll race you.
Alexa, what's 1.7 million yen in pounds?
1,700,000 Japanese yen is 11,965 pounds and 3 pence.
Wow, how has he got that much money?
You've got a better exchange rate than me. I've got £11,961 and 96 pence.
Wow, how has he saved that amount of money up? He sold something, didn't he? Did he sell a car or something?
I think he sold basically all his belongings, didn't he? So like all his games.
There was something big that he sold. I remember his mum saying, but I can't remember what it was. But she accidentally sets fire to it.
Yeah, she sort of comically burns it accidentally.
So imagine setting fire to 12 grand. That'd make me want to kill myself.
It wasn't that big an envelope.
It wasn't. That's true.
From now on, from this moment, Shoyo has got a voiceover for the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting to introduce that at this point. There you go.
There you go. Yes, because he's now an adult and they can do that, I guess. He reveals at this point that he only went to see Shoko to tie up any loose ends before he killed himself.
Yep.
Because he was obviously going to kill himself that day. And he's at college. He's doing some sort of college course, and he's become a little bit of a recluse.
Oh, he's absolutely pushed everyone away.
Because his mates turned on him when he was in school. He doesn't have friends now. He doesn't get involved with anybody at college. He's a bit of a loner.
But that accusation, that fact that he is a bully has followed him to this school.
Yeah.
Couple of the people at his new school were at his old school, and again, they're still closed ranks. Yep, this is that guy. This is that guy who drove that deaf girl away.
Yeah.
This is that guy who made her ears bleed.
Yeah.
And he is very much alone.
To the point where he says he doesn't even look at people's faces anymore. He can't make eye contact with people. And the film illustrates that in a really nice way. I really like this. Everybody's face in this college has a blue cross on it because Shoyo doesn't know what they look like because he doesn't look at them. He talks to them. He will communicate with them and he goes to class with them. But he doesn't look at them. So because of that, he doesn't know what they look like. So they've all got this blue cross on their face. And I really like that. That sticks now for the rest of the film as well. Most of these characters stick with that.
Wasn't it?
It was. I really like that.
It really paid off at the end, which we'll talk about later. But it was nice.
Yeah. Later that day, his mother apologises for burning all that money. Shoya hears a guy, when he gets to school, he hears a guy getting his bike robbed. Because there's a million bikes in this parking lot. And he goes up to this guy who's robbing this kid's bike, and he's like, "Look, take mine. I don't want it. Take my bike instead."
Yeah, he's just lost everything.
I don't really care.
He's got no will.
And so this thief obviously goes, "Oh, okay, I'll take your bike, no problem." And he never brings it back, obviously. So he steals Shoya's bike. Kid who he rescued, I do know his name. Tomiko? Tomato? Tomohiro. They become friends at this point. Shoya's having this internal battle about whether he should go back to see Shoko again. He's not sure. And when he gets to class, his classmates don't let him in the door this time. They just lock him out of the classroom. So he goes home, basically. And when he gets home, the fat kid, who is Tomohiro, who I've written the fat kid in my notes all the way through, because he was comically fat, has found Shoya's bike. And he returns it to him, and they have a bit of a chat. And as they're talking, this kid's blue cross falls off his face.
It does, yeah.
And that signifies that they've become friends. They actually they're going to get to know each other and become friends.
And he is definitely Tomohiro is the comedy relief for this. You know, they go and hang out in the food court, and he's putting on a sort of Al Capone gangster accent, isn't he?
There's a becoming friends montage.
Shoya still can't get in to see Shoko because he tries to do it a couple of times, and he's barred at the door by a small man.
A boy.
A small boy.
Small boy, yeah.
Who he presumes is Shoko's boyfriend.
Yes.
And one of my favourite lines in this film, this person who we don't know yet the name of, says he shoos Shoya off, and then Shoko says, "Who was that?" And he says, "There was just a rat in the hallway."
Yeah.
A really gross one.
So this person, obviously, this boyfriend, I guess, knows who Shoya is, obviously. Doesn't let him get anywhere near Shoko. Until now, because the fat guy, Tomohiro, attacks the boyfriend, which makes Shoya run away. But I presume Shoko followed him because they meet up outside. So
the two sidekicks were too busy scrapping.
And the two shows got away, and they have a bit of a chat, don't they? They meet up on a bridge, which they meet up on this bridge quite often now for the rest of this film, and the boyfriend and Tomohiro are spying on them through the lens of the camera. They've got a camera, and they're kind of spying on them to see what's going on And it's a bit of a comedy scene, isn't it? They're the two comedy characters at this point, anyway.
Yeah, Shoko's inverted commas boyfriend is an aspiring photographer.
Yes.
So got a camera everywhere.
So they're kind of high up on a balcony and they're watching down, see what's going on in this car. Why did they just go down there? I don't know. Yeah, they're just trying to spy on what's going on. And basically, Shoya and Shoko are feeding the fish together on this bridge.
Sure.
And she fetches out this old notebook that Shoya gave back to her. And she tries to read it, but he tries to stop her reading it. Because he doesn't want her to read it in front of him, I guess.
Yeah,
remember some of the stuff.
Yeah.
And they have a bit of a scuffle, and the book ends up in the river. So she jumps in the river to get this book back. And then he jumps in the river to get her back. So everybody's in the river now. Yeah. And they do. They eventually get out of the water. She kind of bows to him and then leaves. Her boyfriend has taken great exception to this conversation happening. And he puts something on Twitter, in inverted commas. He puts a picture of Shoya going into the water.
It's forbidden.
Yeah, you can't do that. Not allowed in the river. Which leads to everybody seeing this picture, and eventually Shoya gets suspended from school for a week. So he's stuck at home because apparently you're not even allowed out of the house when you've been suspended from school.
No, because his sister says, "Go on, I'd take your niece down the playground."
Was it his niece? I couldn't picture this. There's a little child.
I think so. I think he lived with his mum and his sister.
Right. Okay.
And the little child was his niece, and he's told, go and take her to the playground, and he says, yeah, I'm not supposed to, I'm suspended. Yeah. I didn't know school had that power, but
you never know, do you?
So they go to the playground, and he happens by chance to find Shoko's boyfriend hiding in the climbing frame.
Yeah, he kind of asleep in there as well.
Yeah, with no shoes.
As if he kind of lives there. And they have a bit of a bonding session, don't they? They have a bit of a chat, and this boyfriend, we don't know his name at this point, admits to putting the picture up on Twitter.
Yeah.
And they kind of bond over it. They become not friends, but not as enemies as they were. How was that?
But Shoya takes him home and says, come and have dinner with us. You're not sleeping in this
climbing frame. Shoya realises
frame.
that he's living in this climbing frame. And he's like, come home, come and have some food. My mum will look after you. And he ends up staying the night. But he leaves in the middle of the night. He gets up in the middle of the night. He feels a bit uncomfortable living in somebody else's house. And he gets up and he leaves. At this point, he takes a photo of a dead frog.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a bit strange, but it is explained later on, and it's explained quite nicely.
Everyone in this movie is a very troubled teen.
That's an understatement. Shoya realises that he's left in the middle of the night and goes out and follows him. And he explains that I've run away from home. Shoko doesn't need me anymore. It comes to that. So it's at this point we get a bit of a revelation.
Yeah. So they end up being outside this person's house. He's kind of headed home. And he says at this point, my name's Yuzuro. And actually, I am Shoko's little sister.
Yeah, younger sister. So not a boyfriend. Just her protector, her younger sister.
And then Shoko and Yuzuro's mum turns up and slaps the shit out of
She
Shoya.
does. She is not a fan of Shoya. And she slaps him in the face and shouts at him and tells him to leave.
So the next day, he meets up with them again.
So the four of them, there are four characters. I guess these are the four main characters in this film now. So you've got Shoya, Shoko, Yuzuro, and Tomohiro. And Shoya decides that he needs to get her phone number because he wants to keep in touch with her, I guess, because he wants to be friends with her. But she tells him that she wants to get in touch with some of the other kids from school.
Yeah, she's on a mission for something.
Yeah. And the first person that she wants to get hold with is Naoko.
Yeah.
Now, I think I missed something here because my next note says they go on a train ride together.
Yeah, so I think I've missed the same bit because I've put they're on a train ride. I'm not sure how this got set up.
She says to Shoya, I want to meet up with Naoko. So he takes her on a train. I presume they go and meet up with her.
They do, and she's the friend who's now got short hair, and she's actually changed positively. So she has learned herself to sign, and she's really happy to see them both. And they talk about boobs.
They do talk about boobs for a little bit,
which embarrasses Shoya, and she seems happy that they're both, that they've made amends. And then at the same time, this must be a small town because it just took me a while to figure out how this was all connected. Well, Shoya sort of excused himself while these two girls catch up. He gets given a voucher for a club. But the girl who gives him this voucher for this Meow Meow Club was in their
one of their ex-classmates,
their schoolmates from little school,
elementary school.
So elementary school, yeah. So she's the next target, I guess.
So he goes to this Meow Meow Club. Now I was expecting a strip club.
Yeah, me too. That's the joke.
Yep. It wasn't one. It was just a club where you could have some cats sit on you for a bit.
It was a cat cafe.
Yeah, basically was.
But they don't see the girl.
No, they don't. She sees him, but he does not see her.
No, she makes herself scarce.
Yeah. Later, not too much later, I think it's pretty much the next scene, he does meet up with her. This is Naoko.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm getting these names right. And she's still a twat.
Vile.
Basically, she's horrible. All the way, even at the end, she's horrible. She is chatting away to Shoya and suddenly notices that Shoko is across the road, on the other side of the road.
Yeah.
So she gets excited by this and runs over, and she starts picking up where she left off, basically.
She tries to pull the hearing aids out again.
Yeah. And
so, you're still a loser. Oh.
Yeah. So Shoya stands up to her, but he basically says, clear off, fuck off, go away, I don't want to be around you.
I think you've all know this person at school, don't you? You know, she's not at school anymore. She's left early. She's working a job in a cat cafe. Well, I don't know someone who does that part, but you know, and absolutely hanging on to the fact that she was a popular kid at school.
Yeah, everybody knows that. Everybody knows that person. That person is in everybody's life.
Shoya defends Shoko, leaps to her defense.
Yeah, and they eventually leave, don't they? So Shoko has made friends with one of the girls, and obviously never wants to speak to one of the other girls again. Next day, they meet up, and he accidentally calls her voice weird.
Yeah. Shoko is getting happier. She is now wearing her hair in a ponytail, which obviously I presume she was very self-conscious previously because of her hearing aids and things like that. But she seems to have something lifted from her, doesn't she?
Yeah, it's because they're finally friends. She's finally friends with Shoya. That's how I understood it. She's like, that's what she always wanted, and now they're friends. Yeah. She's even brought him a present, which is like 3 little animals on a stick. And he hadn't got a fucking clue what they were. And she tries to explain it to him by talking to him, and he can't understand her voice. And he actually says, "You've got a weird voice," which she didn't like. Because what she's actually saying is that she loves him.
And he's a moron.
Yeah, he is.
Because I thought it was pretty clear.
It was very clear.
Because obviously, this is maybe a bit of a difficult thing for the filmmakers, because they need the audience to know clearly what she has said. But
at the same time...
But it makes him look completely stupid.
Yeah,
because she clearly says, "I love you."
Yeah, but he can't understand her voice. They've made that brutally clear all the way through. And he says, "I don't understand what you've said. Your voice is weird." Now she's put her heart on the line. She's put everything down on the table, and he's just called her weird. So obviously she gets very upset by that, and she runs home and she ends up crying on her bed. Shoya, I've written here, Shoya makes a few more friends because he opens up to a couple of people at college, doesn't he? One of them is one of the girls that he used to go to school with at his elementary school, and then she's got like a male friend.
Yeah.
So,
and they've now kind of got this little group.
Their blue crosses fall off as well, don't they? And they've got this little group going on, and they all go to the party together. Everybody's there, and then Naoko turns up, who is the bit.
And I was like, well, why the hell is she turning?
Yeah, they go to is it like a theme park?
It is, yeah.
And she turns up because, like you said, it must be a really small town, and she's just there. Nobody wants her there. She's just there, and they go on a roller coaster.
Yeah, and it's like a montage of Shoya having fun.
Yeah,
and the voiceover is like, "Oh my god, what is this?
Yeah.
I'm enjoying myself. Am I allowed to do this?"
Yeah,
and I thought that was quite affecting. Actually,
it really was, because he just beats himself up all the way through about how much of a bastard he was when he was at school. And he doesn't accept the fact that he can grow from that, I guess. And he just beats himself up all the way through the film. At this point, I want to point out to you, the animation of this roller coaster was beautiful.
Oh, it was real. It was great.
It really was. It was the best bit of animation in the film, and it just looked wonderful.
Well, I think there might be a bit near the end, but there was two standouts, and the roller coaster was one of them. Yeah.
Tomohiro gets jealous at this point because anytime anybody gives Shoya any attention, he gets a bit jealous because he's my best mate. You're not allowed to talk to my best mate because he's never had any other friends before, I guess. Yeah. And yeah, live written here, Shoya feels guilty for having fun. And one of his old friends, Shoya's old friends, who abandoned him at the school, works at one of the food stands in the theme parks.
Yeah, another popular kid at school who's doing well for himself.
Yeah. And Naoko tricks Shoya into going to this particular food stand because she wants them to like make up and become, because they were like the group, weren't they, the three of them. Naoko at this point also still has her Blue Cross. She's the only one now that's still got it because they're not friends, and it signifies that they're not friends. He's just tolerating the fact that she's there, and he doesn't.
He tells her this though. You know, afterwards they're sitting with the food, and he's like, "I don't like you."
Yeah, because this is where just after this we find out. How do I describe this? Naoka and Shoka go on a Ferris wheel together.
She bullies her on, not in a horrible way, but like after Shoyu tells Naoko, "I don't like you," she immediately runs off, grabs Shoko by the wrist, and says, "Come on, we're going on this Ferris wheel alone." In a compartment.
And what's the sister called? Yuzu.
Yuzuru or Yuzu. Yeah.
She's filming it. Well, she's given Shoko something that lets her film it. It must be a phone or something, and she.
It's camera.
Is it a camera?
Because Yuzuru says, "If you're going on that, I'm going back on the big roller coaster. Can you take my camera?"
So Shoko must make the decision to film this conversation then.
I presume so, yeah.
Because they secretly videoed Naoka, and she is horrible to her on this Ferris wheel again. To the point where she even says, "I hate you. I've always hated you ever since I met you."
She says you are the reason the group broke up.
You are responsible.
So not us for bullying you, but if you hadn't have turned up, nothing would have happened. Not the fact that we couldn't discipline ourselves. It's disgusting.
It really is.
And even to the point where Shoko says, "I don't hate you.
Yeah,
I just hate myself." I'm like, oh man, this is heavy.
Because we see this video by the fact that Shoya's watching it later on at night with Yuzu, because she comes around to show it, doesn't she? And she's like, "Look at this video," and Shoya just says, "Look, all I want in my life is for Shoko to like herself." And I'm like, this film is getting deep and heavy now, and it's not barely started. At this point in the film, all of his new friends find out that Shoya used to be the guy that bullied Shoko.
Yeah, so the girl who's come with him from the old school, basically it's history repeating. She tries to save herself. So
she basically throws him under the bus. She's like, "This is the guy that used to..."
Again.
Again. They used to bully Shoko when we were kids. So Shoya runs off. Later, Mickey is the girl. She tries to apologise. Yeah. Everybody's back on the bridge. She tries to apologise. She's like, "I didn't mean to do that. It was just one of those things." And they argue about who was the worst bully.
Yeah, and
they all kind of fall out. Shoya gives them all some home truths and tells them.
Well, he does. He's withdrawing again, isn't he? So he just absolutely deals out insults to all of them.
He knows it's all his fault.
Self-centered, you're a horrible person.
He says it's all my fault, but you guys, and then he goes through each one individually and gives them some more hold.
Yeah, he's tearing the group apart.
And they all leave. Everybody leaves. Even Tomohiro leaves at this point because he's like, "I can't be friends with somebody like you." And we end up with just Shoko and Shoya left. The shows I've written here. They eventually end up parting ways, and the next day Shoya goes back, because Shoko goes to this bridge every day. It's just where she hangs out. Shoya goes back to see if he can talk to her again, and when he gets there, he doesn't find her, but he finds her sister, and she's like crying.
Yeah, there's just before that, there's a scene which, again, this is probably my least favourite part of the movie because it felt a bit forced. So you get a really quick scene back at Shoko's house because they live with their mum and their grandma, and there's a really quick scene of the grandma being cool with Yuzu. It's like doing some schoolwork or something, and I've literally written, "Oh, the grand's cool. Oh, now she's dead."
Yeah, we find out that Yuzu was crying at the bridge because the grandma had died. But
we'd seen her in 2 scenes, and she'd only spoken in literally the scene before.
Yeah, and nothing really comes of it either, because they go to...
Well, there is. Because when Shoyo meets Yuzu on the bridge, he's like, "Can I walk you anywhere?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he literally walks her to the gates of the funeral.
On her own. She's like 12-year-old kid or younger kid.
And she's in a school uniform.
On a Saturday.
And then, again, this was a bit on the nose for me. I thought it was a bit clumsy. So you then get this shot of a butterfly, which visits Yuzu and Shoko in turn. I'm like, yeah, I get the whole rebirth thing. It's a butterfly. We don't need that. It's not very subtle, is it? She's the grandma saying bye to them. I didn't need it.
It was unnecessary.
It was a layer of schmaltz too much, I think. It didn't add anything.
But it didn't, and it didn't even need, the whole scene didn't need to be there. Some time later, some time passes after this, I think, and they hang out a few times. There's a bit of a montage of them all hanging out, and it culminates with them asking him to help make their mum's birthday cake. Now you've got to remember, because Shoyo remembers that their mum hates him with a passion of 1,000 suns. So, but he does. He stays. He helps them make the cake. The mum comes in. She makes no bones to the fact that she hates him, but they talk around a little bit, and he eventually ends up staying and eating some cake with them. The mum reveals that she submitted some of Yuzu's photos to a competition, like a photography competition, and then they all decide to go to a fireworks show together.
Yeah, we get a montage, don't we, of the shows hanging out. They go to the cinema, they go to a sculpture park, they do the birthday cake, and then there's this big local fireworks festival
going on. So they're sitting on the grass watching these fireworks, which again were really well animated, look really nice.
Oh, that was the other bit I was referring to. Yeah, they looked awesome.
But Shoko's like, right, I'm gonna go now, because Yuzu and the mum went off to get some food, and Shoko's right, I'm gonna go home now. And I'm like, that's a bit weird. Why would you do that? When Yuzu comes back with the food, she's like, I've forgotten my camera. And she says to Shoyo, will you go home and get my camera? And at this point, I'm like, shit's about to go down here. Because that doesn't make any sense. Any of that, what's just happened, doesn't make any sense. Something's about to change.
So my question is, at this point, has this movie got enough goodwill at this point to earn that rather flimsy, this kid who's not been without this camera from round her neck at all
forgets it to a fireworks show,
forgets to take it to a fireworks show, and needs him to go home to drive the plot on?
It was loose. It was very flimsy. The fact that Shoko just decided she was going home halfway through was weird enough. And then Shoyo...
Yeah, but we know why that was in a minute. But
yeah, we do, but it was all a bit weird. And yeah, the fact that he needed to go home and get a camera just so he could find out what she's about to do, it was a bit flimsy.
I think it just about scraped past, but it doesn't hold up really.
When he gets there, he's like, I've got the camera. He gets the camera straight away, and he's like, I wonder where Shoko is. And then he sees her climbing up onto the balcony, and you're like, ooh, shit is about to go down. And he screams her name. He tries to run after her. He trips over the table on his way. And then a really nice bit of arty animation happens, because she's standing on the balcony. We're watching from the inside, and Shoya's on the floor, and he's scrambling to get back up again. And the curtain kind of wafts over the window, and when it wafts back again, she's gone, which I thought was really nice. He screams her name, but then the camera cuts down, and we see that he's holding her by the arm over the balcony. She's like gone. He's grabbed her. So
she's jumped, and he's
caught her.
He's grabbed her.
He's leaning over the balcony, holding her by one arm. He kind of prays. He promises that he'll be better. He promises he'll be a better person. That if God just gives him this extra bit of strength that he needs to pull her back up, he'll start looking and listening to people, and he'll be a better person.
I did like this bit because you've seen so many movies where someone's grabbing someone by an arm or a fingertip, and I've always been like, you wouldn't be strong enough to pull that
Not
person.
a chance. So he does pull her back up. She manages to get a hand grip on the bit of the balcony as well. But as he pulls her up, she pulls him over. The weight she doesn't intentionally pull him over. The weight of her pulling herself up pulls him off the balcony, and he ends up falling off, and he lands in the river, and there's a shitload of blood in the river. So it's gone dark. It's gone very dark. In the next scene, the very first line of the next scene is Shoya's out of the ICU. So some more time has passed at this point, because he's been in a coma for a while by the sounds of it. We're at the hospital. Shoko's mum meets Shoya's mum for the first time.
It's very emotional, isn't
They're
it?
all crying. Shoko's mum starts bowing to Shoya's mum because he's saved her.
Yeah, thanks for saving my
He's
daughter's
saved her
life.
life. And almost given up his own
And
to do that.
And to be fair, Shoya's mum's sort of...
She's...
You know, you don't need to do that.
Yeah, she's like embarrassed by it.
He's not worth it, but, you know, he's not... He's obviously not without blame on everything that he did to your daughter.
It's a very emotional scene. They're both crying. The sister's there as well, Yuzu's there. They're all like on the floor crying with each other. Then we cut to Naoki. And she is beating on Shoko.
Yeah, she is still an absolute cunt.
She really is. She's blaming Shoko for what's happened to Shoya. She's basically beating her up. Shoko's not fighting back. But then her mum comes. Was it Shoya's mum that came out?
I think it was Shoko's mum initially.
One of the mums
beats up
one
on
of
the
the
girl.
mums comes out, slaps Naoki, and breaks up the fight. Oh no, yeah, you're right. It's Shoko's mum. She comes out, slaps Naoki, and Naoki starts fighting the mum, and then Shoya's mum comes out and breaks up that fight.
Correct. And there's loads
more
crying.
Shoko's apologising to everybody. She's screaming and crying. Everybody's hysterically crying. Shoko is bawling, proper screaming, crying. The friend group kind of reforms at this point. So Mickey turns up, Tomohiro turns up. They all bond a little bit with Shoko.
So yeah, it's done because this was quite a long film. I just do question the pacing a little bit. I don't know if I wanted more of this section when she was bringing the group back together, because it was all on Shoko. Yeah. She's gone out and she goes one by one,
brings them back
together and tries. But it's almost glossed over. It's done so quickly. I think I might change that pacing a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I was going to come to that sort of thing at the end, so we'll talk about that at the end. We're nearly there now. So yeah, all the friend groups back together. Naoka's still there as well. She ends up just basically getting ostracised by the rest of the group, and she ends up going home. Shoko at this point has a dream that Shoya's dying, and which wakes her up in the night. Am I remembering this bit right?
I believe
so she wakes up in the middle of the night from this dream that's more of a nightmare. She runs to this bridge. And at that very moment, Shoya wakes up from his coma, doesn't have a clue where he is. He's like, what's all this shit attached to me, all these wires? And he gets out of bed and he runs to the bridge too.
There is no one in this hospital. That is the other thing that did make me laugh. He just waltzes out
still
of
in his slippers and his gown. And he runs all the way to this bridge. He realises that whilst he's on the way there, that he's never apologised for all the bullying that he did when they were younger. So when he gets there, he's like, look, I'm fine. And he apologises. I really want to apologise for all this bullying. She says it was all my fault. I'm selfish.
They both blame themselves. And as far as I can see, unless I've totally missed stuff, Shoko has
absolutely nothing wrong. No, she's not. And has Shoya done enough to redeem himself? I think he probably has. Anyway, it's a tough one. He definitely has in Shoko's eyes. He says to her, will you teach me how to live? And I thought that was quite a nice line. And the next...
Oh, I kind of took it as, can we help each other to live? But yeah, okay, I suppose it's the same thing.
So the next day he leaves hospital. Oh, Naoka comes and meets him out of school and welcomes him back. Is she the bully one? She was, wasn't she? Because her cross falls off at this point.
Yes.
But he's not friends with her again.
I think he's kind of forgiving her, isn't he?
He made this promise to look at people more, I guess, and I think that was what that was. It was a symbolism of...
And Shoko has kind of tried to integrate her back because she in the montage of her getting the band back together, she sort of waited for days outside Naoko's work. So again, it is a bit glossed over, but I think that the subtext being that she has actually changed a bit, but we don't really get that payoff enough. I didn't think.
Right. So this is his first day back at school, and there's some sort of festival going on at the school.
So his school is like hosting I could only describe it as like a cross-town open day for other schools to all come in. There's stalls and I think so, yeah.
So, but he gets to the door of the classroom and he can't go in. He can't face his classmates. And then Tomohiro appears at the door and he's really happy. He's like boisterous and happy that Shoya's back. He's even grown a moustache. Because he's like, I wasn't going to shave until you come back, so he's got a little bit of a bum fluff moustache. All his mates have got together and made him some origami, and they all become friends again. They all make friends. Naoka tries to get involved in this. She comes up to this group. Shoko calls her a moron, which I really liked. And she just leaves with a tail between her legs. And they go to this festival, and there's loads of people there at this festival. Everybody in this place has got a blue cross on their face. And then suddenly, symbolically, they all fall off at the same time.
Yeah, Shoyu looks up and they all start falling away. It was really nice bit of animation
nice.
again.
And Shoyu just cries uncontrollably because...
Yeah, he just breaks
and
down.
And then the film ends.
Yeah.
What do you think overall?
I'm really interested to see what you think. I mean, I enjoy it. I'm glad I watched it.
It's a tough one to say you enjoy because it is so dark and so deep.
Yeah, the themes that it touches on are really important. Yeah. You know, I would absolutely hate the thought of anyone experiencing this level of sort of bullying and bleakness at such a young age. You just don't like to think about, but it happens, and it's the way that it's done in this sort of, it's quite a sort of hazy animation style, isn't it? It's all pastels and pinks and cherry blossom, and it looks like a light, airy film, and it's not at
really
all.
Isn't.
It's grim. It's a grim story animated in this beautiful, light way, and it's a real interesting contrast.
Yeah, definitely. It's a film essentially about bullying that's framed by both main characters' suicide attempts at the start and at the end.
Yeah.
That's dark. It's so dark and so deep. I was really worried that we were going to be able to talk about it and make this episode entertaining. Hopefully we've done that. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I liked it. I can't say I enjoyed it because you just can't enjoy a film like this. I feel like I should mention the fact that I think it's too long. It plods so much in the middle that you could easily cut 20 minutes out of it.
I kind of like that because this shouldn't have been fast paced because Shoya is plodding through life, but the stuff with the grandma.
I don't want to speed up the pace at all. If anything, I'd slow the pace down. But there's so much filler in there that you can trim the fat. Definitely can. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes for this film is too much.
But yeah, I mean, the animation is great.
The animation is
incredible.
It's
a great story.
The story's brilliant. The animation's brilliant. The dub is really good to the point where you can't even tell that it's a dub. I suppose it helps with it being animated. But like we said,
do you think he was
redeemed?
Redeemed?
He was a proper dick when he was younger, but everybody's a dick when they're younger. So I think all it really matters is that Shoko thought he was, so she was happy with him in the end. So I guess that's all that matters.
Yeah,
she was a lot more forgiving than I would have been, put it that way. I hold a grudge for a lot longer than she did.
I think he's on the way, isn't he?
I think that she didn't realise how bad he was at any point, and that's probably why she forgave him a lot easier. Because most of the bullying was done behind her back, which she wouldn't have known about. Mm-hmm. She was a lot more forgiving of him because we saw it from his point of view, but you never really saw it from hers. And I don't think she thought he was as bad as he actually was. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Should we talk stream table?
Sure.
This is going to be an interesting one. There's already 2 wildcards in the stream table. This is, obviously, we've mentioned again, this is Ross Cook's wildcard film. What sort of area of the stream table do you think we're looking at?
Definitely top half.
Yeah.
I think is could go a bit higher, but I would like a refresher, please.
So if I read out,
I've not got it in front of me.
16 of this series. So if I read the top 8,
let's go top 10.
Top 10,
yeah.
Okay, so Results is currently in at number 10. Hungerford's at number 9. 7 is Would You Rather. 6 is The Discovery. 5 is Pottersville. 4 is Catfight. 3 is VFW. At number 2 is Lost Bullet. That's your wild card. And number 1 is Caliber, which was Sam Mulholland's wild card. There's your top 10. I think it definitely goes in the top 10. Where are you thinking?
Yeah. Right, I've definitely got it higher than The Discovery.
Yes, me too.
I'm thinking, and this is what I love about this show. In what way, shape or form do I decide whether this is above Pottersville or not? Because That is a Christmas film
About a Bigfoot.
about a fake Bigfoot.
It's true. That is the great thing about the stream table. You have to compare cheese and eggs. It's something completely different. So are you thinking either side of Pottersville? Catfight comes next.
Well, I think so, yeah.
I think I agree.
For me.
I think it definitely doesn't compete with VFW, so it doesn't go third.
I'd just say straight away, just to head off any comments, over the next week or so, this is probably this is a better film than Pottersville.
Yes.
This is a better film than VFW. But that's not what
this is about, and it's not what the show's about. We're not trying to find masterpiece films. We're trying to find hidden gems, and that's not always going to be the best films going at the top and the worst films going at the bottom.
Increasingly, I have found my choices on rankings lean towards what did I have a better time in, rather than what's technically and emotionally the best movie. Although that can be
obviously you have.
It can also, it's not necessarily exclusive.
Obviously, you have to take into that sort of thing into account. But I think I'm with you. I think I'm looking either side of Pottersville as well. I think Catter's Fight. I think Catfight's high, but I don't think this film's better. I think if I had the choice, I'd watch this Catfight again over this.
I'll say it again. I've said it before. For sheer, I was not expecting that Catfight. We will struggle to beat that.
Yeah,
and that has the edge on this for me.
Agreed. So where does it go in terms of Pottersville? Are we talking top 5 or 6th?
I kind of feel my gut's saying it's just above, but it's close.
Yeah, I think mine's the same. It is close. It's just the length of it put me off. I can't get around that. The length of this film put me off it. And even once
I've always had a problem with length, to be fair.
Yeah, it's usually the other way though. There was a point where I paused it and I'm like, shit, there's still like an hour left of this. And not that I wasn't enjoying it, but it's a long old film. Especially, like we said at the beginning, neither of us really know anything about anime. For as far as I know, this could be the shortest anime film ever made. They could all be 4 hours long. I don't know. So, and there's a lot of people out there who will be screaming at us right now because there's a lot of anime fans out there, and we're talking about whether it's better than Pottersville or not. I think it's slightly better than Pottersville. I'm happy with it going 5th.
Okay, good. Deal.
Cool. How are we turning the tides on it?
Just get rid of that bit with the grandma.
Yeah, exactly the same. Just chew some of the fat away from it. Cut it down. 1 hour and 55 minutes, I'll accept. Take 15 minutes.
I didn't have as much problem with the length. If you want to, if we want to keep it this length, but I'll give that 10 minutes to her sort of putting the band back together at the end. I'll be fine with that.
Cool, deal. That's how we've changed the tide on it then. I know we are going really long, so should we just speed through and pick next week's film?
Let's do it.
What sort of film are you looking for from next week, Nick?
I want explosions.
Explosions, something big.
Yeah.
Big old action film.
Sure.
Okay, I'm going to press the button. Are you ready?
Do it.
It has picked a film called Deadcon. Okay. Any ideas?
Right. I'm feeling pretty confident here.
Okay.
I don't know, because this isn't ringing a bell with me. I am going with Zombies Invade a Comic-Con.
Okay. Interesting. It's a horror film. Do you want to know the synopsis?
Yes, please.
It says, the horrors and isolation of being a social media influencer run rampant when a collection of YouTube and Instagram stars soon discover there are things scarier than thousands of teenagers armed with phones asking for selfies.
Okay.
I think you might have hit the nail on the head, personally.
Good.
Nothing mentions zombies, but what's scarier than a load of teenagers with phones?
Surely zombies.
Would you like to know what this film is rated at on IMDb?
Of course I would.
2.8.
Well, what a perfect companion piece to this week's movie.
Yeah, so we went from, 1.5 to 8.1 to 2.8.
We are all over the shop.
And we should mention as well that next week's episode will be the 100th episode we've ever put out.
Amazing.
It won't, obviously not the 100th film, but we have put out bonus episodes in the past. We put out Christmas specials. So this equals up to this is episode 99. Next week's the 100th episode, so we'll have a bit of fun with that as well next week. We'll come up with some ideas of what we can do with that, and we'll go and watch DeadCon, I guess.
Let's do it.
Cool. In the meantime, check us out on Instagram and Twitter and Letterboxd, and now all the same username. It's BOTS_podcast. Facebook.com/bottom of the stream. The website is bottomofthestream.com. On there, you will find every episode we've ever recorded available to play in your browser. All 4 season stream tables have now been fully updated with all the reviews. There's loads of other good stuff on there as well. There's some merch you can go and buy on there. And Patreon. Check us out on Patreon, www.patreon.com/bottomofthestream. On there, for a couple of quid every month, you can join us aboard the stream boat and get some stickers. You can get some bonus episodes. You get early access to episodes. Nick does a newsletter every month. If you come in at a certain level, you'll get a wild card, so you'll get to pick a film for the week and make us watch a 2-hour Japanese film. And Discord. The Discord link will be in the bottom of the show notes. Check us out in there. We have a lot of fun in there now. There's quite a few people in there chatting. It's pretty active, and usually there's always somebody to talk to if you get bored. So come and join us in the Discord section.
Yeah, please do. If you can't do any of that, then please spare 5 minutes to leave us a review on Podchaser, on Podbean, on Apple Podcasts, or anywhere else you can leave reviews about podcasts. Maybe if you are a skilled animator, you can animate as a review in the style of a silent voice.
Or the shape
and
of
voice. That would
voice.
be beautiful. Yes, whichever you want to.
Whichever you want. Yeah, so do that. Check out DeadCon, and we'll come back next week to talk to you about it.
Cheers.
Bye.